Hello, everyone. I am Samela, and I am an entrepreneur, teacher in residence through a nonprofit called Ownership is the Future. And what I'm doing is recording how to make a website in Canva because this is where all of my students, my high school students, have their websites, and it's very simple, generally like a 4-page website or so. And I just want to, to document the process and show you guys how it could work. So, for example, this one is just like a one pager and it's already kind of got everything that you want. But I would choose based on like typing in whatever it is, right? Like, so if you're building a clothing brand, if you're building a hotel or a community, let's type community. So if you're building a community, right? Let's do this one. I'm not sure why, but I just feel like we're going to do this one. Okay, so for example, if you press the little squares here at the bottom, you're going to be able to see what each page is. So I just want to kind of show you all how and why it matters to be uniform. So you see how this says home, groups, meeting schedule. Well, the titles that you have here will be the titles that show up when you preview your page, right? You see here, group meetings. So making sure that these are not just listed correctly, but spelled correctly, things of that sort. And they actually represent the page that you want the person to go on. So if you want the people to go on the groups page, make sure that you have it listed as groups. If you want them to go on the meeting schedules page, have them go there. So I just wanted to kind of share what that looks like. And you can always add pages, delete pages by saying duplicate. And when you duplicate a page, you see this goes here, and now you could drag it and drop it. So these are just some of the common ways. But remember, it will still show home, and we would need to change that because you see home and home, right? So now that you guys got that under control, we can go back and we can delete this extra page, delete, which is clicking the little three. I think they used to call this, well, the hamburger menu is like the three lines on top of each other. So here we go. Let's get to the fun stuff. I would generally already know what type of copy, meaning words, that I want on my website the before I choose the template. I don't necessarily mean knowing every single word, but I would know how I want it to lay out, right? And you see, I'm still on the home page, but the home page has several, like it's a three-part home page, which is great. We love it. But if, for example, you don't want this, you can simply delete that. But then if you want it back, you just press the undo. You see? So just to be clear, this home page will have several layers, right? And then now we're on the groups page. That also has one, two, three portions, right? Oftentimes, you don't need all of this information or this many pages, right? So you can simply delete them. For example, we can delete this page. We can decide, okay, how many pages do we want here? Join the community, talk to us, what's next? Okay, perfect, right? So now that we got an understanding that we want a 5-page website and you can have as many as you want, I would then go and start thinking about my branding, meaning the colors that I want. And you can create your own brand template. You don't have to immediately, but if you're creating a website, I would suggest you understanding what your brand kit looks like. And I have them for different chapters in my life, right? Different areas, different things that I've done. But today we're using my personal brand kit. So we'll leave it there. But with that personal brand kit, I have the fonts already selected. I have the colors, as you just saw, selected. And then it can play. So for example, I can tell this to shuffle the colors on all pages And so now my brand color has been implemented already. I don't see enough of the color that I would want. I don't see enough of the pinks or you see this. I don't know if I would want a green background, but guess what? You could play around with it, right? So this is where the fun comes in. But before you start doing the fun, I would make sure that my copy is tight. And I would also use AI so I would use AI to make sure that it is giving me the appropriate, and when I say appropriate, I'm saying from a spelling, grammar, parentheses, like punctuation, things of that sort. And it is as sharp as possible because when somebody lands on your website, you only have a few minutes to impress them. So let's get to something fun, right? Like, so generally, templates have the grids already there. So you can see how this did not have the grid there. If you know you want a picture back there, you can go to element, you go down to the side and you choose, not sheets, you choose, where are my grids? Where are my grids? Okay, where did you go? Is that you? No. Hmm. We could do, no, not photo. Frames. But you can also, okay, it's under frames, copy. So you put it back if you know that's how you liked it. Or you just change your mind altogether and maybe you don't want a square. Maybe you want it to look like a cell phone, right? Like a device. That's okay. But once you set it up how you want it to look, don't worry about putting the pictures yet. Don't worry about the fine imagery, because before I put this picture here, I should make sure that the wording here matches what I'm trying to share, matches what I'm trying to have my customer understand or my community understand. So, what is peer led support, right? That is the main thought that you're going to answer by that being the headliner of this page. And then here you break down what peer led support is. So, for example, when you're choosing a template, they're oftentimes grouped together and you can ungroup them. You can ungroup them by pressing ungroup. And when you press ungroup, you can literally change it, expand it, put it in different formats, right? So maybe you want what is, and then you want peer led support. You want to stack them. This is when you can change how it looks on your page. And then if you want to change the alignment, if you want to change the spacing, if you want the letters to be spaced wider or closer, right? This is what this area is for. If you do not want it to be, you see how it's all caps? You can change that. You can click on the entire thing and then say no all caps. You see? But if you want to keep your title page as all caps, you do that. You can make it bold, not. You can italicize it. Yeah. Underline. So funny. Underline. Um, Change how big or how small you want it. And then you can choose your font styles. But when you get in these things, you get in the weeds, babe. Every part of your website should be cohesive. So I should not have permanent marker on this page, i.e., that font, but then don't use it anywhere else. So if I'm going to use permanent marker, then let's go ahead. When you go back to your fonts, the last one that you use is up top. You don't have to go back and look for it again, it's already there. And then now I just change everything to permanent marker, right? And it's asking me, do you want to do that? I say yes. And when they say everything, they mean all headlining pieces. So this could work right? This large saying up here could work title, but you would have to move it down. And now you would want it part of your picture. You can decide you want it to be smaller or on top of each other, right? You could take it in from the corners. Whatever you decide you want to do, you can adjust as you see fit. You can make the picture larger here and make it a full picture and make it there. You can add your logo. So you go to upload. And for example, I told you I'm running a program now with the kids Road to Jamaica. I can upload this here, but if I upload this and put it there, it's going to automatically, because what I just told this to do is use this image that I just uploaded and put it in that image section. But if I realize I don't want that, I can adjust, make this smaller or right boxier or whatever it is I am looking to do on either side. And then I can move the Road to Jamaica one right here just as the logo. You see, so you have free will to change everything that you think you want to edit. If we're going to do a button, okay, so let's say we want to make this a button. We right click it, or you click more and you see where it says link and you type it in, whatever it is. So www.roadtojamaica.com. And so now when anybody clicks that link, they're going to be sent directly to Road to Jamaica site. And you always must verify every single link before you make it visible. Does that make sense? I hope so. Where are we? Where did we go? Where did we go? There we go. And so you made a link. If you want to change positioning, let's talk about this, for example. You see how this is, the lines is over it. Again, you can extend it out to be like this. You can make the fonts smaller, larger, more emboldened. Effects. Effects is essentially putting a background or adding some fancy graphics, right? Or making the words look more unique. There's so many options that you can do here. If you animated it, that means it's going to drop in like this. It'll, right? So you can get as fancy as you want to as it relates to how you want your website to do. But if we're just talking basic website, the goal is to make sure that everything across the page, you see how when we changed the font, that now became too big for how this was layered and laid on here. So you would have to make sure that every single thing that you are doing is perfect for your ideal user, because making a mistake and having a mistake and like, oh, well, I didn't know, that doesn't work. You are responsible for your business. You are responsible for making sure it looks good, that it's sized properly, that it adjusts and that it looks neat. You can change it however you see fit, but make sure that you're keeping in mind that your customer decision to purchase from you is based on how confident they feel that you can deliver. So if your words in your website is not organized, chances are they will believe that you aren't able to organize whatever it is you're selling them. So what's happening next? What happens next? The S needed to be there. You see, so we made sizes for it. I'm not going to walk through and change any of the wording. I just wanted you to find the confidence to understand how you can adjust things. So if you wanted to change this background to pink, any area that you want to adjust, you click it. And when you see this square around it, that means that's exactly what you're adjusting. You see the color up here, you go to edit your brand colors that you wanted it, and now you changed it to pink. Maybe you want this one pink and this one white because of, you want to show a sharp difference. And so now you can make those words on this pink while also making the words on here white because you want to show that contrast. Do you understand? You could change the pictures. You can update whatever it is you want. And if you need to find stock image, you can leave here, go into Element and say, it'll also generate for you. There, it'll use AI to generate for you, but in the screen recording, it doesn't. Oh, let's see. Yeah, in the screen recording, it doesn't necessarily do that, but you could type in park. Let's see. And now it asks you, do you want a graphic? Do you want an actual photo or do you want an actual video? So say you want the video. You can put the video and drag it to the place in which you want that park scene to be. You see? And then if you want this one to be just an image, you drag it to where you want it to be. And then now when you go and preview it, you see every change that you've made and you see what your user will experience. And when you preview it, this is previewing it from the desktop. This is previewing it from the cell phone. It's important to check both because this is how your user will see your website. And this is the hamburger lines that I mentioned to you to see what scheduling a meeting looks like. You see how that is not lined up? You would need to go back in when you make your changes. Let's say how to join. You would need to make sure that all things are aligned because this is how you build trust with your customers. And now you're done. You love what you see and you're ready to publish your website. You can go to publish and it will ask you, do you have a domain or if you want to create one? Because I have my students, as mentioned to you before, my students' domains listed here. You can go get a new domain and then you say, it allows you to, in the normal profile, it'll say use Canva's free domain and Canva will give you a domain. And say, for example, it'll be road to Jamaica /Canva.com. But I guess in this version, it doesn't allow you to do that. So if you bring your own domain, meaning you purchased it with another domain provider and you want to connect it, or you want to buy one from Canva. But even if you do not, you can publish this website. It'll generally give you, all of my domains are all used, but it'll generally give you a site domain and you can publish it. But if I do this now, it's going to be published at shoporigami.com /peer-led support. And that's not what we want to do. So we will not publish it from there. When you go into your settings, this is what someone will see when they go type in your website. So you can change this. This is totally changeable. Road to Jamaica. Search engine visibility. If you only have a community page and you want only certain people to access it, you can change your privacy setting. Of course, you would have to give them access to that website. Navigation menu, which is the hamburger menu that I showed you, and resize to mobile. You always want it to resize to mobile. Social media link preview. This is what it will look like, right? So if you sent the link to somebody, remember how I told you shoporigami.com /what peer-led support looks like, road to Jamaica, because I typed that in there. But if I typed it in, you see how it changes immediately. Samella's website. It changes immediately. So be sure that you are thinking through all things before you publish your website. Pages, you see? The home page, the groups, and it allows you to change it here. And now you go back from your settings, you close this, and this is how you create a simple website in Canva. You make the adjustments that's needed. Choose the template. So let's start over. I would start with choosing the template, whatever that is. And once you choose it, you say apply all 5 pages. It goes there. I would edit the colors that I wanted to see it in. And once you edit the colors, and if you wanted to choose colors, you don't really know what colors, you could play around with it just like this. And once you draw this over from side to side, it'll give you the different variances of blues, of purples, and you could play with it. How does that look? That looks hard for a customer to read, right? Can they read this? Is it going to hurt their eyes, right? These are things that you have to consider. For example, you can't use those words on here or that color because you can't see it on that green background. And then you play around with the colors, right? Gradient will give you different shades of whatever color you see that you wanted in purples, a gradient of blues. It's totally up to you, or a solid color. Okay. And then you start building your website. You change out the pictures that you want by searching element. You update it to where it makes you happy. You make sure every single link, if you're going to put a link, you make sure those links actually work. Your responsibility is to test out everything that your website has, or every button or every experience, because if you can't assure that it's working, your customer will never tell you it's not working. They just won't purchase from you. And they have this new analytics. You can see who's been visiting your site, public links, website, social media. You can know how many visitors, how many unique visitors, and you can export this. So this is something that you usually have to have with Google Analytics, but now you have it here. You can connect your social media accounts, give a public preview link, so that way create a public viewing link so now they can see your site. But how cool is that? You can see the visits and you can export that. So this is how you will create a website. If you wanted to share it with somebody who's going to help make changes, you can do anyone with the link, and you can give permission. You can let them edit it, comment, or view it, depending on which works best for you. You can download it. You can share it on Insta. You see, these are all your options that you have. You can add a person to it. And so now when you add someone else to it, they will be able to access it. Notify me when they access it. Yes. Because maybe you have a team member and you're like, hey, could you get around to this? And then when they get around to it, now you're notified. Right? So there are so many things that you can do to bring your website to life. And I believe in you. You got this. We did a website in under 20 or plus minutes. And I will be sharing this on YouTube. Be great. And please drop any questions that you have at the bottom, and I will be more detailed about it. But in the meantime and in between time, have a beautiful day. Bye.